Hello everyone, welcome to the first video of a new course where we will be building an action RPG game from scratch using Unreal Engine. Now before we get into the course, let me introduce myself. I am Bunty Chaudhary, a game programmer at Ghost Code Interactive, the team that is working on advanced games like Anarchy Uprising. Having over 2 years of experience using Unreal Engine, I am well equipped to guide you guys through the basics of game development. Now going back to the course, we will be using Unreal Engine's Blueprint, which is a visual scripting tool where we won't have to go into complex C++ coding, and all our logic will be handled by pre-constructed GUI based blocks of code which are called nodes, which makes it fairly easy for beginners who are looking to get into game programming using Unreal Engine. Now let me give you an overview of this course. We will be going from absolute beginners to making our own game. We will start with how to install Unreal Engine, then we will work on the character, then we will work on the combat system, the damage system and all, followed by making the enemy AI, and then we will go into the level design. So starting with how to install Unreal Engine. To install Unreal Engine, first you will have to have your Epic Games account, and let me show you how to install Unreal Engine. So you have your account, go into the Unreal Engine panel. Once you are in the Unreal Engine panel, go in the library, and in the library you can see the engine versions. I'm using 5.2, but I'll recommend you to use the latest version. I'm using 5.2 here. To install Unreal Engine, you can click on the plus icon here, and you can select the directory, and you can just install it. It is just simple. So after you have installed the engine, you can launch it from here. So once the editor is open, this will be your interface. You can see there are different templates given to you to make your own game. So for the RPG, we will be selecting the third person as it is more viable. So you can see different options here. We will be selecting Blueprint. Also, you can make games for mobile. But for now we will be selecting the desktop, and the quality preset is going to be scalable. You can enable ray tracing according to your own choice. I'll keep it disabled here. So let's give a name for our project. We'll call this Action RPG. Action RPG. We'll create it. Now once your project is opened, this is the interface that you will be going to see. Now let me give you a brief overview of this editor. So on the top side you can see file edit window. You can make a new level from here, you can save all from here, and the screen that you can see here is the viewport where we can see our scene here. In the left side panel, this is called place actors panel, where you can select anything and you can drag it to the viewport. So let me give you a tip. Once your project is open, this is the interface that you will be seeing. So the screen in front of us is the viewport, where this is basically our level, where we can see what are the things that in the level. In the left side panel, this is the actor panel, where you can select anything and you can drag and drop it in the viewport. In the right side panel, this is the outliner, where you can see everything that is placed in the level. If I click on the cube, you can see this is highlighted here, and you can also select the things from here. Once you have selected anything, you can press F to focus on it, or you can just double click on it. Now on the top side you can see the file option, from where we can create a new level and we can save everything. So to move in the level, you can press right click and use your WASD to move around the level. In the top side, now you are seeing this is the move option, where you can select, you can click on it and you can just move the things around the level. Beside that, there is the rotation, where you can click on it and you can rotate anything. And the last one handles the transform of this transform of anything, where you can change the scale of it. After that, there comes snapping, where you can select a degree to which you want to rotate. If I disable it, you can see it is not snapping. If I enable it again, you can see it is snapping by 10 degrees. This is the camera speed. This is the speed at which you can traverse around the level. You can I'll keep it to 0.33. Also, the shortcuts for this, to decrease and increase the camera speed, you can right click and you can use your scroll to increase or decrease the speed. You can click on anything and press W to move it. You can press E to rotate it. You can press R to set the transform of it. Now for this, we will be starting with the basic movement, where we will be learning about the animation blueprint, the basic blueprint, and we will be making a crouch system for our game, and we might also work on the procedural leaning of our character. Now at the bottom of the screen you can see content drawer, where we can navigate through different things that we will be using. For now we will be going in the third person character, then the blueprint, then we can see that this is the BP third person. This is our basic character. So we'll double click on it, and as you can see there are pre-made functionalities, where these are the nodes that I was talking about. So the white and triangle type of thing that you are seeing is the execution pin. The execution of the code flows from left to right, and if you don't connect the execution pin, your code will stop there. So nodes might have an input pin, an output pin, and the execution pin. So you can see here there is event begin play. Event begin play is a function which is triggered whenever we are playing the game, like at the starting. And all of this that you are seeing, enhanced input, IA look, are the basic input keys like WASD, control. We will be using input action for making our crouch, and you can see there is already a jump function made. So this is the basic blueprint, and we will start with the animation blueprint. Now what is animation blueprint? Think of it as the code part where we will be handling the animation. So we'll start with making a new folder in the content drawer. We'll call this animations. We'll make one new folder. We'll call this ABP. ABP is the short form of animation blueprint. We'll be using naming convention throughout this course, as this will keep you more organized and make you look professional. We'll make one new folder which will contain anim sequences. We'll call this animations. This will contain anim sequences. Anim sequences are nothing but the animation that we will be using. And then one more folder which will be called as blend space. Now what are blend space? I'll come on that later. Now we'll go in the ABP folder. We'll right click here, and you can see there are too many things here, but for now we will be going in the animation. We'll click on the animation blueprint, and we'll have to select a skeleton. Now once the BP third person is open, you can see in the left side panel there are different things. We'll first come on the viewport, and you can see this is the BP and third person character. This is the whole character which has different components. This is the capsule component. This basically handles the movement and all of and everything in the game. Then comes the arrow. This arrow is to know what is the front facing of our character. This is the mesh. Mesh is nothing but the body of our character. It's a skeleton mesh, and skeleton mesh uses skeletons to make animation and all. Now in the bottom of your screen, we will go in the content drawer. Then we'll make a new folder which will contain animations. We'll call this animations. Now we'll right click on here, and as you can see there are too many options here, but for now we'll go in the animation. We'll make an animation blueprint. This will be using a skeleton. We will select SK mannequin. We'll create, and we'll call this ABP main character. Now ABP is the short form of animation blueprint. We'll be using a naming convention as ABP, BP, BS for all of this. These are the basic naming convention that we'll be using to make it more organized. In the animation folder, we will make one more folder which will be called animations. This will contain anim sequences. Anim sequences are basically the animations that we will be using. We'll make one more folder which will be called blend space. Now what are blend space? We'll talk about that later. Now we'll double click on the ABP. As you can see, there is an output post. In the left side panel, we'll be seeing a mannequin standing there in the A pose. That is the basic pose of UE5 skeleton. And this is the output pose. So first we'll talk about what are state machines. So state machines are basically graphs that we will be using to make some states of our game. Like for today we'll be making two states of basic locomotion and one crouched locomotion. To make a state machine, we'll right click here, we'll call state machine and we'll create one. We'll call this state machine locomotion. Now we'll double click on it, and state machine has states. Okay, so from entry we'll make a new state. This will be called idle. Then there will be one more state which will be called walk/run. Now before proceeding further, let me tell you how to import animations. Like I have some animations in my PC, but like I'll be providing that. And to import animations, we'll click on import in the content drawer. We'll browse where our animations are. We'll select all and just we'll click on open. Now as I told you, in animations uses skeleton, so we'll have to select the skeleton here. We'll select the same skeleton, SK mannequin. We'll import all. And once they are imported, I'll move it to animations folder. Now first we'll start with making a simple blend space for our locomotion. We'll go in the blend space folder, we'll right click here, we'll go in the animation, and as you can see there is a blend space here. Now this blend space is basically a 2D blend space. And let me tell you what are blend spaces. Blend spaces are smoothing of animation based on different criterias. So like we can give a criteria like speed, direction and all, but in blend spaces we will have to give two criterias. And in the legacy you can see there is blend space 1D, where we will have to give only one criteria. We'll click on the blend space 1D. We'll use a skeleton again, and we'll call this BS walk. Now we'll call this BS locomotion. We'll double click on it, and as you can see in the left side there is a horizontal axis. In the right side there are asset browser. Asset browser contains all the animation that is using the skeleton. We'll drop down the horizontal axis. We'll name it speed. We can use maximum access to around 500, and we'll enable snap to grid. Now first we'll search for walk. There will be mm walk in place. We'll drag it and we'll set it to the left side. And I'm using this as because it is very slow. Then we will be using walk forward. We'll set it to the next one, and then we'll search for run. And you can see there is animation run forward. We will be setting this to the right side, and you can press Ctrl on your keyboard and just move your mouse to see how the smoothing is working in the blend space. And as you can see, when our speed is 0, it is walking very slowly. When our speed is 130, it is walking a little fast. And as our speed increases, we are starting to run. So how to use blend spaces? We'll go in the ABP, we'll go in the walk and run. and we'll just drag and drop it here. And as you can see, it is using an input speed, and the T-pose that you are seeing here is basically the output pin or the execution pin. So we'll connect it to the output animation pose. We'll compile it, and for the speed we can drag it from here. We'll promote this to variable. We will be calling this speed. Now you can see if I increase the value of speed in the left side, now this won't work because we have not added it here. So if I connect this to here, compile, and now if I increase the speed, we can set the value in the right side in the details panel. If I increase it to 400, if I compile it, yeah, this is not working because we haven't given the transition rule. Now what are transition rules? Transition rules are basically the rules which will decide in which state the character is going to be. We'll click on the transition rule, we'll select it here, we'll get the value, we'll press greater than the symbol in the keyboard, or we'll just search for greater. If it is greater than 0, we'll connect the boolean pin to the result and we'll compile it, and now you can see it is running. Now the character won't directly start with the running. So in the idle part, in the idle state, we'll have to give the idle animation, and you can search for the animation in the asset browser here, and we'll drag and drop the idle and compile this, and we'll set the speed value to 0. So for the speed value, we will be getting this from the third person character. We'll compile, and as you can see, the character is stopped here. So for now, I will be disconnecting the locomotion from here because we won't directly use the locomotion state here. We'll have one more state which will contain all of the state. We'll call this main states. We'll right click on this, we'll search for state machine, and we will be calling this as main state. States. We'll compile, and from the locomotion we'll drag from the output pin and we'll search for cache, and we'll click on the new save cache pose. Now why are we caching this pose? This is to basically reduce the memory and space out that this will be using. We'll call this locomotion. Now we will be going in the main state. From entry we'll be making a new state. This will be called unarmed state. Unarmed locomotion. We'll double click on this, and we made a cache pose, right? So we'll be calling the cache pose. Cache, use cache pose locomotion, and we'll connect this here. We'll compile, and in the anim graph, from the anim state, from the main states, we'll search for default slot. Now from the main states, we'll be dragging from the output pin and we'll search for default slot. Now we are using the default slot to make a space for using anim montages. Anim montages are a tool that we'll have to make from animations so that we can use the animations from the blueprint. We'll compile this. And now we'll go in the event graph. Now in the event graph, you can see this is the event blueprint update animation. This actually updates the animation, and this actually is triggered at every frame of the game. So we will be using this to get the speed. Now how to get the speed? We will right click in the blank space and we search for initialize. Event blueprint initialize animation. Now what is event blueprint initialize animation? This is basically the event begin play, where this is triggered whenever we are starting the game. So from the event blueprint initialize animation, we'll get the try get pawn owner here. We'll drag from the return value, we'll search for cast to third person. Now what is casting? Casting is basically, think of it as making a connection between the animation blueprint and our character so that we can access the values or the variables we are using in the third person character. So we'll promote this to a variable from the output pin. This basically stores a reference of the character. We'll call this character ref. Character ref for reference. Now in the event blueprint update animation, we'll drag and drop the character ref and we'll search for get velocity. Now from the velocity we'll be getting the speed, where we will be searching for vector length xy, as we are not concerned with the z axis value. Now we'll drag the speed here and we'll set the speed here. Now from the vector length xy, we'll set it here. Now do one more thing. We'll get the velocity, we'll drag it here and we'll promote this to a variable. We need this for future purpose. Now to make it look more organized, you can double click on this for a reroute node and you can reroute it. Now to use this animation blueprint, what we'll have to do, we'll go in the third person, we'll click on the class defaults, and as you can see there is an animation mode here, use animation blueprint, and in the anim class we'll select the ABP main character. We'll compile this, and I'm not exactly liking the mesh here, so I'll be changing it here. We'll get the SKM manim. Now how to see in the if it is working or not, we'll go in the third person map, we'll just click on the play icon here, and as you can see it is working fine. Now what was the problem that we have seen is that once we have stopped, it is still working, it is still walking. Now we won't directly go in the idle because that will look a little janky, so we'll make a new state. We'll call this walk stop. This basically, what this will do is at the end of the animation of walking animation, we are playing one more animation, that is playing the stop animation. Now from walk to stop we'll make one, walk stop to idle we'll make one more transition rule. Now from walk and run to walk to stop, what should be the transition rule? That should be if the speed is equals to 0. Now we'll go back again from walk stop to idle. We click on the transition rule, and in the right side in the details panel just click on the automatic rule base. What this will do, once the animation is finished of walk stop, this will automatically transition from walk stop to idle, and in the walk stop we'll be searching walk stop, we'll drag it here, and now if we play it, you will see that we are playing a stop animation and we are going back to idle. Now what is the now we will have one more problem. Now once we play it, as you can see, once we stop, this is playing a stop animation and then going back to idle. Now one problem that we'll face is we have no jump animation here, so we'll quickly work on that. We'll go in the ABP main character, go into anim graph, we'll go into the main states, and we'll make a new state in the empty space. We'll call this jump. We'll make one more state, we'll call this, not the conduit, state. We'll call this falling loop. Now we'll make a transition rule here. We'll right click again in the empty space. We'll create a state alias. We'll call this to falling. What is state alias? It is just a simple way, like we won't have to connect it here and there, and that will look too much unorganized. So we are just making an alias. So we'll click on to falling, and as you can see, we'll click on the unarmed locomotion. That will show that we are going from unarmed locomotion to falling state. Now from to falling loop, we'll create one more transition rule, and from to falling to jump. Now what should be the transition rule? We'll double click on the transition rule. For now we'll make a boolean. We'll call this is falling. We'll also get this from character, but for now we just use the boolean now. If it is falling, it will go into the jump, and we'll use this for falling loop too. Now we made the velocity. Now we'll be using it here. From to falling to jump, we'll drag the velocity. We'll right click on this and we'll split it to get the x, y and z value. Now we'll drag from the z value. We'll search for greater. If it is greater than 20 and we are falling, we'll search and drag from the is falling, and we'll search for and boolean. This is basically the and statement. If both are not true, only then we'll be transitioning. Now we'll set the priority order, as because both of the conditions are same, both have the is falling, so we'll set the falling loop to priority order 2. We'll compile this. Also from jump to falling loop, just click on the automatic rule based. We'll compile this again. We'll give the animations. We'll search for falling loop, fall, and as you can see, there is fall loop. We'll drag it here. We'll compile it. We'll go in the jump. So we'll search for jump, drag it, connect it. And also, as the falling loop is a looping animation, we'll click on it, go in the details panel and click on the loop animation. Now what this will do, this will cause the animation to loop itself. Now we'll create one more alias. We'll call this to landing. If only I can spell it right. To landing. From to landing, when we can go into to landing state, when we are either jumping or falling. Now from to landing, we'll make one more state. We'll call this landing or land. Now we'll connect this here. This transition is going to be automatic rule based. This is going to be if we are not falling. So we'll get is falling. Also, one shortcut for getting and setting is you can press Ctrl on your keyboard and drag it here to get the get value, and you can click on the Alt and drag it here to set the value. So we'll get the value, and if we are not falling, not boolean, only then we can transition. Compile this, everything looks fine, and once we play it, we'll have our jump animation. Why don't we have our jump animation? Yeah, we don't have our jump animation because we did not get the is falling. Now from the character ref, we'll search for is falling character movement. Now isFalling is a function in the character movement. You can see the character movement in the third person blueprint. We'll click on the character movement, and everything related to the movement is given here, the max walk speed and all. And isFalling is a function in the character movement component. isFalling, we'll set the isFalling value here. We'll compile. Now this should work. Now we have our jump animation, and as you can see, this is not going in the land because yeah, so we have not provided the land animation, that's why. We'll go in the land state, we'll search for land, we'll drag it here, and as you can see, this is green because this is an additive animation. Now what are additive animation? As the name suggests, this animation uses a base pose, and these animation are added to the base pose. Now we'll drag from here, we'll search for apply additive. Now this is going to be the additive, and in the base pose we'll search for locomotion and drag and set it to output animation pose. If we compile, this should work. And now it's working fine. Now let me show you what would happen if you directly add it here. Directly use the additive animation, as it has no animation base pose. This will shrink down. Again, now we'll set it to apply additive, and this will go in the output pose. Now for the basic movement, it is completed. Now we'll go on the crouch movement. Now for the crouch movement, we'll go in the anim graph. We'll create one more state, which we will call crouch locomotion. We'll search for state machine. We'll call this crouched locomotion. Also, let's cache it too. We'll call for cache crouched locomotion. And for this, we'll have only one state, which will be the blend space, where we will be using the eye animation. I'll show you how to do it. We'll add state, call this crouched locomotion. We'll compile this. We'll go in the content drawer. We'll create one more 1D blend space, blueprint, animations, legacy, blend space 1D. We'll select the skeleton. We call this bs_crouched. We'll double click on this. Again, we'll give criteria. This will be speed. The maximum access is going to be 350. Grid division is going to be 4. Snap to grid on. Now we'll search for crouch. And you can see now we have crouch idle. And we'll search for crouch walk. Okay, it is crow walk, but alright. We'll drag and drop the crouch walk to the right side. And as you can see, if I press, if I hover over it, as you can see, my mesh is moving from the original space. Now how to fix it? We'll double click on the crouch walk, and in the left side panel, in the asset details, you will select the enable root motion and force root lock. What this will do is it will set the root bone of the animation to the starting point. And now we'll enable it, and if we go in the blend space again, you will see it is working in one place. Now in the ABP, in the main character, we'll go in the crouch locomotion and we'll drag and drop the crouched blend space. Now in the speed, we'll connect the speed. We'll compile. Now how should we enter the crouch transition? We'll make a crouch function in the third person blueprint, and we'll be using the input action. Go in the content drawer, go in the content, then go to the third person, go in the input, go into action, and we'll make one new input action. Right click in the blank space, scroll down, go in the input and input action. We'll call this IA underscore crouch. Now why are we using IA? It is the naming convention for input action. IA is equals to input action. Now we don't have to do anything there. Go back to input, go to IMC default, we'll add the mapping here, we'll click on the plus icon, we'll select the IA crouch, and for this one we'll be using the control. Click on the keyboard icon and just press on the control key on your keyboard, and you can directly search it from here, but if I search it here, left control CTRL, we can select it from here too. We'll close this, we'll save it, we'll close the IMC default. Now we'll go in the BP third person, we'll right click here and we will search for crouch, and you can see there is IA crouch. Now make one boolean which will denote if we are in crouch state or not. So we'll make a variable in the left side panel. In the left side panel, you can see there are different graphs here. We can make functions also, we can make variables. For now, we will be making a variable. Click on the plus icon. We will call this is crouching. Also, if we are using a boolean, we can do one thing. We will call this B is crouching. Now you can see now we have named as B is crouching, but if we drag and drop it here, you can see it will be is crouching. Now this is a basic naming convention for booleans. Now from started, we'll set this to true. Now we'll be using flip-flop. We'll drag from started, we'll search for flip-flop. Now what is flip-flop? As you can see, there is two inputs here, A and B. If we press it one time, the A will be triggered. If we press it again, the B will be triggered. So for every odd number of input, A is going to be triggered, and for every B number of input, for every even number of input, B is going to be triggered. Now from B, we'll set this again to false, and from A, we'll set this to true. And also we'll have to set the speed of it. Now if we are crouching, we won't go in the same speed as we are walking. So in the left side panel, we'll drag and drop the character movement. Well, from the character movement, we'll search for set max walk speed. This is going to be 350. Now we'll duplicate it here. Now the shortcut for duplicate is Ctrl D. And if we are not crouching, we'll set back to what is the default one. You can see it here. It is max walk speed is 500. So we'll set it to 500. Now compile. Go back and go in the ABP main character. We'll go into event graph. and from character ref we will be getting is crouching. Not get is crouched, but get is crouching. And we will promote this to a variable. Now here, if I don't connect the execution pin here, this is falling value is not going to be set, and so our jump function will get messed up. So I'll connect this here again. Compile. Go into crouched locomotion. Go into main states, and we'll create one more state here, which we will call crouched locomotion. I'll drag it a little bit down. Yeah. Crouched locomotion. And now we'll create one transition rule from unarmed to crouch and from crouch to unarmed. Now the transition rule is going to be simple. If we are crouched, we'll go into crouched state, and if we are not crouching, we'll go back to unarmed state. Not fully. Now, I hope everything is working fine. We'll play it and test it. If I press Control, it is not working. That is because we haven't used the cache pose. We'll call the cache pose crouched. We'll compile this, and we can check it from here only. If we are crouching, if we click it here, compile, it is still not working. I guess we'll have to now check it in the level only. If you press Control, as you can see, we are crouching and we are moving forward. If you press Control again, we'll stand back and go back to our normal locomotion. If you press space, we are jumping and then landing. Now we have covered the basic locomotion and the crouched locomotion. Now our next step is going to be working on the procedural leaning. As you can see, if I walk and if I turn, this looks fine, but we are going to use leaning to make it look more natural. We'll save it here on. And now I'll show you how to make your own animation. Now, not from scratch, but to use another animation and make an additive animation to use a base space and use the animation. Now to make a leaning animation, we'll go in the content drawer. We'll go to the blend space that we made, animations, blend space. We'll go in the locomotion, and here we'll search for run. We'll double click on run. We can click on the magnifying glass on the top left corner to browse to the asset, and we can click on this, and in the left side panel we'll select the animation. We'll drag it here and hover it over the animation. As you can see, and we are getting an option move or copy. We'll copy it here. We'll go in the animation folders again. We'll close it. Now in the animation, what we'll do, we'll make a duplicate of it. We'll name it as lean left and lean right. Now, how to make lean left and lean right? Go in the start frame of the animation, and in the left side panel, scroll down a little bit, and you can see additive settings. What we'll do here, we'll select the mesh base, and base pose is going to be selected animation scaled, and here we'll be selecting the base animation of our additive animation. We'll drag and we'll drop it here. We'll search for run, and we'll click on the run forward, and as you can see, we are getting a preview of it. And now we'll go in the skeleton tree, we'll click on the pelvis bone and we'll see that our snapping is on, and we'll drag the green. We'll click on the pelvis and we'll drag it to the left side a little, 10 degrees, and we will click on the key icon, and as you can see we got an animation that is leaning left. And we'll do the same for the right. We'll go in the lean right, we'll go in the asset details, mesh space, select our animation scale, we'll search for run again, run forward, run forward, click on the pelvis, tilt it towards the right a little, minus 10 degrees, click on the key. Now we have another animation lean right. Now for leaning also we'll have to make one more blend space. We'll go into the blend space folder, we'll make one more 1D blend space, animation, legacy, blend space 1D, select the skeleton, we'll call this BS or blend space underscore lean. And the criteria are going to be, this is going to be lean, minimum axis is going to be minus 45, maximum axis is going to be 45. Save it, we'll search for lean here. Also snap to grid. What snap to grid does is, like, I'll show you. If I drag it here, and as you can see it is we can place it anywhere, but I like it not to be placed on the grid, so we'll drag and drop it in the left side, lean left, and lean right is going to be on the right side, and you can see it is working fine. Now go back to the main character, ABP main character. We'll go back to the locomotion state, the locomotion state machine. We'll go into walk and run. We'll make some space for from the BS locomotion. We'll search for additive, apply mesh space additive, and in the additive we are going to use the BS lean. Now what should be the lean? We'll make one more variable that is going to be a float variable. We'll call this your delta. Now we'll calculate the your delta in a little bit. We'll drag it here, we'll set it here, compile, and hopefully we can get a preview of this. If I set it to your delta to minus 45, we'll compile this, and the speed to 50. Compile this. Now we'll have to check it in the game itself. We'll go into event graph. Now here we will be using some advanced calculation to calculate the your delta. I'll show you the calculation. We'll make a new variable. This will be called last rotation. Actually, delete this. We have a better option. Delete this. Here we will get the from character F. We'll drag and drop it here. We'll get actor rotation. Now we'll now drag from here and we'll search for delta rotator, and this will go into B. Now from A we'll drag it here and promote to variable. This will be called last frame rotation. Now we'll split the return value and we'll divide it from delta time. We'll promote this again to, this will be called delta time. Now, as I told you, the event blueprint update animation is triggered every frame, so we can get the delta time from here. We'll set it here. We are getting delta time here. We'll connect it here. I will set it. Now we have got the delta time too. Now we'll divide it again to get the lean intensity. I'll be using 10 for the lean intensity, and we will, from the divider return value, we will search for interp. Search for f-interp 2. Now what this f-interp 2 does is we will have one current value and a target value. Now what f-interp does is now we'll have a current value and a target value, and that will basic f-interp basically does now what f-interp does is basically we'll have two values, current and target, and it will smoothly transition from the current value to the target value depending on the interrupt speed and the delta time. This is going to be the target. The current is going to be your delta. Delta time is going to be in the delta time, and the interrupt speed is going to be 10. And we'll drag the your delta here. And from the return value, we will set the your delta. And the last frame runner rotation is going to be set after the your delta, and this is going to be, we'll drag from the get actor rotation and we'll set it here. Now now we have our your delta. I'll organize a little bit. Now a small tip to organize your code is to use comments. How to use comment? Drag the nodes that you want to comment and just press C on your keyboard. Comments basically makes it easily for you to understand, and for your partners if you are working somewhere, it makes it easier to understand the code. And we'll call this getting speed and velocity. Getting is falling, selecting again. I cannot spell calculating apparently. Calculating. Combine. Now in the ABP main character, we'll go into locomotion, see if everything is right. Now let's see if it is working fine or not. Now as you can see, we have a procedural leaning. Whenever we are rotating using our mouse, we have a lean. Now we have our basic locomotion completed. This was it for this video, and in the next one we'll be discussing and we'll be creating a basic player stat from stamina to health and all. Now that was it for now. So far we have learned how to install Unreal Engine. We got to know what are animation blueprint. We got to know what are normal blueprints. We have created normal locomotion along with the crouch and leaning. And in the next video, we will be learning about how to make basic player stats along with health and stamina. And stay tuned for the next one. And let's complete this game together. Thanks.